Hare Krishna, His Grace Kaunteya Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna. So, 10 o'clock in Delhi, 9:30, I believe, in Pakistan. So, welcome, and let's honor those who are on time by giving them special attention. I don't know what kind of special attention I can give you, but certainly I can express my gratitude and appreciation for your punctuality. So this is our third time together. We had this meeting last Saturday and Sunday. We are studying the first three chapters of the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th Canto. And we have seen how Priyavata wanted to renounce and just continue as a disciple of Narada Muni, completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. But then his father, Swayambhuva Manu, because of the lack of kings who could take up this management, he went and requested him. So he refused in a very cultural way, but he did refuse. He did not express any intention to accept that. So then Lord Brahma appeared personally and convinced Priyavrata that no, the best thing was to actually become king, even if he may have felt that wow, I had to get into Grihastha life, wow, I had to get into administration and so forth, so on and so forth. So we are still in the first chapter, and we touched till text 16. So we'll start from text 17. But before that, is anybody who wish to ask some questions or or share some comments? Something wasn't clear. We discussed also broader issues such as the three ecosystems, our movement such as ISKCON has to integrate and harmonize the Guru-Shishya dynamics, the purely, we could say, managerial or administrative organizational issues, and legal issues and so on, structural issues, and also the social aspect of the family, the personal relations, personal life within this world. And we also dedicated the PowerPoint to Gurukula, which Srila Prabhupada bring up in the purports as an essential element of building civilization, as an essential element of building Varnashram. So, any questions so far? I repeat, I encourage you to put your video on, so at least I have some idea whom I'm talking with, if you don't mind. Of course, if you are eating or doing other things of a more private nature, yes, you can switch off, or if your internet doesn't hold up so well. Otherwise, I would say as a default system would be good. Because I'm not just talking in general, I'm talking with specific people. Especially now that only few of you have come. I don't know what happens to the others. So any question or comments from the previous two lessons? No. Okay. So let's go and look at text 17 of chapter 1 of Canto 5. So this is still Lord Brahma, we could say in ISKCON term, preaching to Priyavrata, try to persuade him. So he's giving different perspectives. And in this particular verse 17, he says, even if he goes from forest to forest, one who is not self-controlled must always fear material bondage because he's living with 6 co-wives, the mind and knowledge acquiring senses. Even household life, however, cannot harm a self-satisfied, learned man who has conquered his senses. In other words, Priyavrata hesitated to get a wife, to get into the whole family business. But Lord Brahma say, look, if the senses are not controlled and the mind is not controlled, one can go in the forest, even in the most remote forest, but he lives with 6 wives. These 5 senses and the mind that they will demand. Just like a materialistic wife generally demands a lot of things from the husband, a lot of comforts, a lot of facilities. So similarly, the senses and the mind demand from the soul so many things. I want to see this, I want to touch that, I want to taste this. And the mind, I want to be depressed, or I want to be disturbed, I want to be agitated, and so on and so forth. But the opposite reality is also true. One can be in family life, but if his senses and mind are controlled, Brahma says, if one is self-satisfied, atmaratehi, so if self-satisfied, then there's no harm. There is no harm even in a situation in which materialistic people are severely affected. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Prabhupada writes, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a responsible officer and householder, yet his service to the cause of expanding the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is unique. So, unique meaning both qualitatively and also quantitatively. He said that he wrote some 100 books while being a magistrate, while having up to, I believe, 14 children. Imagine the responsibility. Daily court cases, sometimes very delicate, very consequential. And imagine having 14 children in the house. So many normal issues, from taking the children to the dentist, to seeing that they are dharmic, and so on and so forth. Still, he wrote 100 books. He discovered and reestablished Lord Chaitanya's Yoga Pit, the birthplace. He was managing some 500 different congregational groups throughout Bengal. And so he was doing so many things while being in householder life. And if you take any person, probably any person in the renounced order at the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although they didn't have family, although they didn't have a job, although they were free, I mean, there's no comparison. There's no comparison to his level of productivity, besides the quality, of course, of pure devotion, but his level of productivity and his level of impact on the Sampradaya, on his world, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he controlled the senses, he controlled the mind. And obviously his bhakti, his pure devotional spirit, was enough for to protect him from all these other distractions or potential distractions. So, feel free to raise your hand anytime and ask a question or make a comment. Slowly, slowly, devotees are coming. You're welcome. Even if you're late, you're still welcome. As they say, better late than never. Text 18. I read from the purport, the Vedic system of 4 varnas and 4 ashram is very scientific, and its entire purpose is to enable one to control the senses. Before entering household life, Grihastha ashram, a student is fully trained to become Jitendriya, a conqueror of the senses. Such a mature student is allowed to become a householder. And because he was first trained in conquering senses, he retires from household life and becomes vanaprastha as soon as the strong waves of youthful life are past, and he reaches the verge of old age at 50 years or slightly more. So this is a characteristic, fundamental characteristic of Varnashram, that it takes human life as a cycle. It should start, of course, for the first few years, the baby needs the mother, needs the body of the mother, the warmth of the mother, the emotional, and of course also the father, but the mother more. And for growing as a healthy adult, psychologically healthy adult, but then has to learn renunciation, has to learn austerity under the guide of a spiritual master. You will see in the 7th canto how Narada Muni says, Brahmachari Gurukula Vasantanto Guru Ritam. He says, Brahmachari should go to the Gurukula, control his senses, learn how to control his senses, learn to be Jitendriya, conqueror of the senses, serve the Guru for the benefit of the Guru, so develop an identity as a servant of Guru and Krishna. Then he can enter Grihastha life. And then if he has this background, then he can enter Vanaprastha life. If he doesn't have that background, it's very hard because he doesn't have any reference. He doesn't know that he can be happy also in simplicity, in renunciation. So, like these children nowadays, they just go to school, learning something that very often has nothing to do with character, has nothing to do with building an identity as a servant of Guru and Krishna. Then they're just absorbed in entertainment, video games, or even worse stuff, being on internet, being on the phone, being on Facebook, and this and that. And then then they get married. There will be a low caliber Grihasthas or Griham will be very attached, very identified. There will not be leaders in the family. And then they will never take Vanaprastha because it's just don't have experience, they don't have background. So Vedic culture, Varnashram, call it whatever you like, civilized life, has got this cycle. You start with renunciation, you start with a mother affection, then you move to the guru's control, then you, with that background, you go enter family life, which is normal for most people, and then you can gradually retire. Otherwise, it will be very, very hard. Be very, very hard. Now there is this very important concept. Srila Prabhupada says, as a king in a strong fortress can conquer all powerful enemies, so a householder in Grihastha ashram, household life, can conquer the lusty desire of youth and be very secure when he takes vanaprastha and sannyas. So it may be a little confusing because sometimes Grihastha ashram is compared to a dark well. Like in the first chapter, in the first verse of this chapter, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Atma patam griyam anda kupam. Our soul life is like a dark well. So, and it can be like that if there is no spiritual enlightenment. One just becomes very absorbed, my aham mameti, I'm this, and this is mine, and this is my family, this is my business, and it becomes really like a well. One closes his mind to the world, to the suffering of the world, to their own spiritual needs for liberation and so on. But at the same time, in this chapter, in the summary of the chapter, and in this verse, it is said that family life is compared to a fortress for practicing sense control. Why a fortress? Because a fortress is something that defends us from the enemy. So by religiously directed family life, then it's a grihastha ashram. It's a sacred state of existence. It's an ashram. It's a stage in which one works out his or her own natural attachment to the world, desire for procreation, desire for some privacy, desire for their own possessions, which is nature for most human beings, but process that in a way that it comes out after 25, 30 years as a detached person. Already has, ideally they should have some control of the senses. Then through Grihastha life, through experiencing all the troubles and joys, I guess more troubles than joys, but experiencing the old dynamics and completing the cycle when the children also get married, and then one can retire. Because if the person has a spiritual background, then he will look forward to go back to that detached and peaceful life. And I want to make a note also of the concept. See, we often hear that the woman needs protection. Srila Prabhupada often quotes the verse from Manu Samhita, how by the father in her youth or in her childhood, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her elderly life, the woman should always be protected and should not be given independence. Now, that's a verse which it's important. In fact, it's not just Manu Samhita. I mean, in every civilized society, fathers protect the daughters, and husband protect the wives, and grown-up children protect the widow mother. So it's basically just human civilization to take responsibility for the more vulnerable, like children or women in this case. But also Srila Prabhupada is praying. If you want, I can give you the quote later. But he says, "Play. It's not that they are not independent; they are also independent." And he gives a geopolitical analogy. He says it's like a protectorate. What's a protectorate? A protectorate is a country who has its own independence. For instance, they have their own elections, they have their own head of state, and they manage their own affairs as a country, but they are protected by a larger country. Say, for instance, this larger country may have military bases. So that aspect is taken care by another country, but otherwise they are also free. In fact, many of these, they can even get they have elections if they want to still have that relation with the, we could say, protecting country or not. Was there a hand up somewhere? I saw a hand up. I don't know whose hand was that.
Yes, Prabhuji, it's Jagat Mata Sachit Devi Dasi. I just
Hare
want you to elaborate. Hare Krishna. I just wanted you to elaborate on the protection thing, and you already elaborated it.
Oh, okay. See, protection, we have to understand what protection means. Protection doesn't mean close a wife in a cage or a daughter in a cage and say, no, now you're well protected, or lock them up in a box. Mm, See, in a society, in a traditional Vedic society, where men would go to Gurukul and they will become very qualified as human beings, besides as devotees. In fact, the Manu Samhita has a large portion describing the Snataka. Snataka means the graduate of the Gurukul. Snataka literally means the one who has been baited, because the boy, after say 15, 20 years in the Gurukul, is really clean, is really pure, has been serving the Guru, has been practicing austerity, has been learning Shastra, been learning ethics. So then it really can be a very, very responsible human being, a responsible husband, and so on. And in that context, of course, women generally will marry very young, just after puberty. So you have a man of 25 years, maybe 20 spent in the Gurukul, and you have a woman of 12, 13, 15 maximum. So it's natural that this woman sees the husband as Guru Pati, right? The Guru husband, the husband Guru. It's natural because this person is qualified and there is so much gap, even of age, between the husband and the wife. Nowadays, so at that time, protection for a daughter would be mostly be expressed in the daughter being at home. Generally, these were extended families, so there is mother, aunties, grandmothers, this, that. So a lot of people protecting and engaging this small girl. So the best protection would be for her to learn domestic arts, how to cook, how to manage the house finance, how to clean and everything, so that then she can serve the husband. The husband will be very happy to protect her, and there will be that they will have children and so on and so forth. She will be busy with the children because traditionally they wanted many children. And so that takes a lot of time. It's a full-time job to be with the children, to be in the kitchen, to take care of all that. So that was the original civilized, not only in India, but everywhere. That was not without the Gurukul, but basically women marry young, and men protected them. Nowadays, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know very well. I'm just saying sometimes men are not so qualified. They have never been in Gurukula. Sometimes they're not even very good providers, or they are providers that they depend on others, because basically it's a Shudra culture. You go for education, which is very different than Gurukul. But then you come out, you are a hired hand, even for highly technological things like computer programming, computer science. But basically you are a hired hand. You can lose your job anytime, they can kick you out. It's not anymore the rural setting where you have your land, you have your source of income, or you are in a stable culture. If you're a Brahmana, you're in a society that value your input, and plus you have input to give. Nowadays, everything is kind of unstable, and even the mind of people is unstable. So my understanding, and you will hear people who have different understandings, but it's my duty to share my understanding of the philosophy and the sociology. My understanding that to protect your daughter today, you need to give the means for being self-sufficient to some extent, because you don't really know if you'll find a good husband, a husband will protect her. You see, look at the statistics in India, how many widows are there? There are about 40 million widows, which is natural because women women live longer and women marry younger. So it's natural that there are widows. But see how many millions of widows, how they are treated. Sometimes the family member just usurp their rights. They steal everything. What's her right, even legally? And often, if she's not educated, she doesn't know how to fight. She doesn't know how to defend her rights. She doesn't have a job, so they kick her out to the street. So you can see that if you really want to give protection, you need to balance the traditional, you could say, values and dynamics with the present realities. Yes, Mata Sachi Mataji, Jaga Mata Sachi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, nowadays we see that when women are self-sufficient, they refuse to take protection from the men.
Which
So,
women? Which women? You made a study of that?
No. In general, they refuse to get married, and in general, and
No, but
in the domestic
okay,
life
but
also.
do you have data? Do you have data? You have statistics? You can quote some source, or just a feeling?
No, I'm seeing around me some women,
Okay,
my
some women.
cousin,
Okay,
huh,
some women. Yes,
my
some women do,
cousin,
definitely. Okay, yes. Please continue.
my cousin, and they refuse to tolerate little things in the marriage, so divorce are happening. So how can we see that?
How can we see that?
How can we understand it? That if female are self-sufficient, the society will not face consequences of it, of this.
If females are self-sufficient, the society will face the consequences. I don't understand the sentence.
Uh, uh, I want to say when the females are independent, they have their certain mindset. Uh,
Uh-huh.
they don't want to get engaged in domestic life,
Uh-huh.
take care of the household. So many they refuse to take it. And the present scenario that is happening, the educated girls, they don't want to cook, they don't want to have kids, they
Uh-huh.
want to enjoy their life. So this is happening. So how can we correct in uh, our families, we make our kids, our girls self-sufficient, and they settle down properly in the life, in marriage especially.
Okay. You have daughters? You have daughters?
Yeah, I have daughter.
How old is she?
Oh, now she's 10.
She's 10. Okay. What's your plan with her?
Not much.
You don't have any plan. She's 10.
Uh, I just want to get her
She'll
married.
she'll she'll hit puberty soon, so she will soon be a woman. So then, what's your plan for her?
Uh, Firstly, at least she graduate before marriage and earn something for herself.
Oh, so
Maybe little financially independent.
so you're saying you want her to be self-sufficient, right?
Yes, I want.
So, so that you're saying the same thing as me. I say that if you have a daughter, you probably need to make her able to be self-sufficient. Self-sufficient is not the same meaning as independent or rebellious. It's not the same meaning. So
Yes,
graduate means what? Up to what age you want her to study?
at least 2021,
Okay, so
20.
she will study till 2021. That's according to your plan. Of course, we have our plans. Krishna has his own plan.
Yes,
The
yes.
daughters have all their own plans. Okay, they are human beings. Let's not forget that. Okay, so she study another 10, 11 years. Then you say you want her to be able to earn. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. And then you want her to get married at what age?
about 22, 23.
Okay, so continue earning as a married wife, or
As she like, as she
sure.
feels convenient.
Okay,
Convenient.
so what's the problem with all this? What if she
No, I
becomes?
don't think so. I don't have problem with this. But I have my first cousin. She's 30. She's working with the Microsoft,
Uh-huh.
getting a huge package, and she's rejecting all the boys she
Uh-huh.
means suggest. She's not ready to settle down.
Well, you see, I don't know these boys, but maybe they are useless. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know my wife. My wife, she's from South India. She's from traditional family and all that, Madhva family, and she had the different proposals before getting married. I mean, they were arranging, bringing people, this, that. And she didn't find anybody attractive. I'm not saying physically. I'm just saying as a personality, as jobs. It's just they didn't want. She was telling me. I mean, she has a strong character, but she was telling me sometime they will bring a prospect, okay, and she will make a crazy face like this. So, so that the boy and the parents will say, "Whoa, this this girl is crazy," because she didn't want these people. Okay, plus she was already devotee. She didn't want to go and serve a karmi. Okay, so I don't know your cousin. I don't know which boys. These boys, maybe they were good boys, maybe they were useless, or maybe there is something in between. I don't know. Okay, so basically you are confirming what I'm saying. Now, obviously, there is not just training to get the job at Microsoft or Infosys or whatever. There is also training to understand, look, if you want to get married, you need to understand the mentality of a man. So you can also learn how to cook. And learn how to cook doesn't only mean, okay, you learn those 50 preparations, now you know how to cook. Learning how to cook is more like, okay, learning to do it every day as a duty. And understand, of course, if your daughter been 20 years in school, and then you say, now you cook every day of your life, three meals. It's not so easy. It's not so easy. No. So you can't have everything. You cannot have like a Vedic wife in a, without a Vedic background or in a non-Vedic situation. So every case is slightly different. Srila Prabhupada explained, you study in the third canto, how Devavati dealt with Kardama Muni, the psychology. Srila Prabhupada used this terminology like superiority complex, inferiority complex. A man has a superiority complex, meaning he wants to be on top. He's bigger physically, he has got the male ego, which is useful in society because you got to fight and this and that in the life. And so they want to be very much respected by the wife. It's natural. It's not spiritual or anything, but it's natural. So the wife, if she is smart, she has to understand, okay, this is a man. If I want a man, I have to adjust to his ego. Otherwise, you don't have a man. And not like this, your cousin, maybe doesn't want a man, doesn't need a man. Maybe he doesn't want children. Okay, so you can't force people to reproduce. You know, there may be a choice. Your concern may be that the choice may not be spiritual. They should just want to enjoy life and this and that. Generally, women want to get married, and generally, women want to have children. So to have that and to have a stable marriage, because if you want these children to be grown up with a father, or may not be a great father, but at least with a father around, you got to tolerate certain things. This is Srila Prabhupada's teachings. You got to tolerate certain things. The husband come home maybe angry because so much frustration in the office, this, that. So you have to tolerate. If you start fighting everything, yes, then it's a hell. Household life is a hell. And then there is divorce. So women, just the nature of the psychology is that they need to learn to be a little bit tolerant. At the same time, I repeat, since there is no real guarantee. There is no real guarantee. You see in India, some widows are 16-year-old, 13-year-old, 20-year-old, right? And unless they have some education, some capacity of earning, what they'll do? Either they become prostitutes or they become slave of somebody, working in the building roads, these poor ladies with the bricks in the head and all that. So you want that for your daughters? I don't think so. So then it needs a balance. The balance, the skill building, marketable skills, and at the same time, learn the culture, learn to understand that men have a certain nature, a certain mentality, certain arrogance, and then you have to live with them. And marriage, it's a compromise. You can't just win all, both for the husband and the wife. You can't just have everything. So the marriage is a fortress for your growth, but obviously you can't just be in the fortress and then go around la 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 in the fields. You have to choose, stay in the fortress or go and run in the fields. You can't have both. So I would say that since you're obviously loving your daughter, and I think your plan is reasonable. I don't see anything wrong in your plan. At the same time, you can also impress that, look, probably you will want to have a man for companionship, you will want to have children, and family life brings certain duties. So you need to kind of learn these duties too. Otherwise, it will be very hard. Because there are certain duties. We have to eat, we have to live in a house which is clean. Now, if you're rich, you have servants who do everything. But if you're not that rich, if you're middle class, you got to do those things. And especially if the husband works outside all day, something can be shared, maybe, okay, you take the kids to school, okay, you go and pick them up, things like that. All over the world, people do things that maybe they don't like, right? We don't like to go and pick up the kids at school, right? Takes time, the traffic, and this and that, but somebody has to do it. So yeah, give also that balance, the culture, and give them a good example. What I also wanted to stress is this: in ISKCON, sometime I see some people, I don't need to mention a name because it's a mentality, it's not just a person, that they stress so much about protecting women, but they kind of forget that women protect men also. First of all, every human being, male or female, is grown with a mother, mostly with a mother, and the mother gave so much time. We are all being toilet trained, probably by the mother, most probably by the mother. We go to the mother when we are afraid at night, and the mother dresses us, the mother cooks for us, the mother feeds us. So as human being, the first years of our life, and sometimes it's 10, 15, 20 years, we are mostly protected by the mother. Because the father is here, there, is outside job, is not so present. I'm talking in general, okay? And second, even as adults, yes, men protect the woman because woman, it's more vulnerable physically. Srila Prabhupada says a boy who is 16 can travel all over the world. Can just go and travel and have experience. For a girl, it's much more difficult, right? She's easy to be victimized, to be exploited, to be kidnapped, to be raped. So these are, somebody said Delhi is the rape capital of India. I don't know if it was just a political statement. But, there is these dangers. There are these factual dangers. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada explains that if somebody is not a natural renouncant, really has the nature of a sannyasi or brahmachari, it was natural for them to be detached and not to involved in family life, very easily they become debauchees. They become dangerous to society, dangerous to women, right? So when you say protecting women from who? From men. When you say protecting women, doesn't mean protecting women from other women, right? That's obvious. Nobody thinks like that. Oh, we should protect women from other women. That's not the problem, generally. Problem is you have to protect women from men. Men were irresponsible, men were violent, men were lusty, men were violent. So let's remember, basically there are these three options. That's my conclusion, having studied Srila Prabhupada, having studied the world to some extent. One, if you are a man, you are renounced, you are a nice brahmachari, you go on, then you take sannyas, go back home, back to God, Haribol, congratulations. Okay? Second, you need to get protected by a woman. You need to be protected by a woman because otherwise you'll become bad. You run after somebody else's wife, you corrupt innocent girls. There are many studies, you can Google it, how married men are more healthy and more wealthy than single men. There are many advantages for a man to be married. There are studies, I can show them to you if you want. I can send you links. There are studies. And in fact, there are studies that it's even better for them to live with an educated woman. Because obviously, educated woman would be able to give more protection, more wisdom, more, not necessarily wisdom, but she would be more intelligent. Not her intelligence being developed. Or you become a degraded man. So either you're renounced or you get protected by a woman in the holy marriage, or you may become very, very lazy or very sinful, very irresponsible, like that. These are the three options, basically. There's no other options for a man. First choice, okay, brahmachari, sannyasi, Haribol. And therefore we should pay obeisances to Maharajas, Maharaj, Hare Krishna, because they are respectable. Or you get protected by a woman, so you're, like Srila Prabhupada used this expression. We read it in text text 18. We read the strong waves of youthful life. The strong wave of youthful life. So either the man has civilized sex or as uncivilized sex. Those are the two options, basically. Either no sex, fine, civilized sex or uncivilized sex. So yes, men should protect women, but women protect men. Should be very clear. And that's what Srila Prabhupada also explains. Okay, so this is a very relevant topic because everybody is a man or a woman and everybody has children, female children, male children, or both. So we need to have a clear theory, sociological and spiritual theory of what's life. Any other question on this topic? You can also disagree. Of course, I don't care, but no, I'm just saying, we can disagree, but we can discuss. You can say, but you said that, but this, that, or Srila Prabhupada said that. We can discuss. I mean, I'm open. In fact, I enjoy it and I welcome. disagreement means your brain is working, the wheels are turning. But so you said that, but I read this, and but I heard this Prabhu saying that. So, so if you have disagreements, it's fine. Fine meaning we can discuss, no problem. I promise I will not raise my voice. I will speak slowly and calmly. Arvind Charan, he disagreed so much that he just switched off and he went to Hawaii. True? No. Okay. So basically I'm saying this. There are certain principles of Varnashram, like protecting one's daughter. Okay? She's a young girl, and as soon as she reaches even just puberty, she becomes very attractive to men. Some men are very irresponsible, very lustful. So obviously in every civilization, not just Varnashram, the father and the mother protect the daughter. Okay? And we love her and we want her to be the best in life. Probably the best would be have a family, because generally that's what she wants also psychologically, economically, and everything. Have a wife, have children, like that. So ideally, if we are sure that she'll find a great husband, first of all, a husband will remain alive. Or a husband was a very protective family and she will be always protected for life. But unfortunately, nowadays, Delhi, you don't have this luxury. You just don't know. We don't know what will happen. So my conclusion that the protection will take the form of at least give her the possibility, the skills that she can survive by herself. Not that she has to survive by herself, but at least she has that possibility. If you keep her illiterate or you keep her without skills, then she needs a job. What she just do? No, she will be a maid cleaning somebody's house, which is some people will have to do it. But is that what you want from your daughter, to clean somebody else's house? I don't know. So these are practical matters. This world is dog eat dogs. No, people don't care unless we are equipped. Like you all speak English, okay? Not everybody speaks English. And while obviously spiritual is not essential to speak English, but because you speak English, you have much more access to the world, to the knowledge, to information, to dialogue, to other people. Of course, many people are very cultural, very educated, maybe just in one language, Bengali or Tamil, or even Hindi. But, you have English, definitely you have much more choices in life. So you probably want also your daughter to have choices. Otherwise, less education, the choice restrict. It's just a fact of life. It's not the ideal life. We don't have this men who have spent 15, 20 years in Gurukul and they're very reliable and all that, and the families, they're very reliable with the daughter. If the daughter comes in the family, they will respect her and love her as their own daughter. We don't have that. Sometimes, in India, sometimes there are so many dowry crimes. The daughter is seen only as somebody you can exploit. You have to give me this, you have to give me that. So many brides being burned. You know this thing. You know better than me. I mean, you're Indian. Of course, I'm in India longer than many of you. Still, you know India, right? all this dowry, atrocious thing that they burned the daughter-in-law because she didn't bring enough dowry. Or it becomes like an harassment, constant harassment. Now you have to give me this, now you have to give me that, now you have to give me this. And that's why in India they kill so many girls, either by abortion or when they're born. There are about 50 billion women missing in India because they're killed. They're killed because many people see it as a burden. So there are many social ills, and we need to be conscious. And so we need to negotiate. We need to. I know a devotee, somehow the daughter married a non-devotee. They fell in love. She ran away. Hare Krishna. But that family is kind of still threatening the devotee family, saying, if you want to be in a very subtle way, but no, if you want your daughter to be happy here, you need to keep sending gifts and stuff like that. It's a crazy society, unfortunately. It's the perversion of Varnashram. It's a perversion of the dowry system. It's a perversion of everything. And what happens in ISKCON, I don't have the exact statistic, but I've seen it. I studied it. What happens in ISKCON is this. If a boy wants to be a very good devotee, he understands the philosophy, yes, this is a goal of life, so they become brahmacharis, at least for a few years. They become brahmachari, they live in the temple. Like in Delhi, you have so many good brahmacharis, right? I mean, some places, very good brahmacharis. So because they are idealistic and there is a facility. Now, if a girl, say 16, 18, she wants to be a devotee because she understands the philosophy, yes, this is a goal of life, I want to serve Krishna. There's no facility. In Delhi, I mean, you have 17 temples. I'm asking a question, I don't know. You have 17 temples in Delhi. Is there any temple was a brahmacharini ashram? No.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, so what does it mean is this. A man who is 18 joins the temple. Very good devotee, joins the temple. A woman who is 18 cannot join the temple. Not in theory, but in practice, okay? Because there is no ashram. So then she continues studying, and she's intelligent, and she's good, and then she starts earning, and she earns very well. And then what happened is that there are some men who are devotees, kind of devotees. They want to be devotees, but they're not so good devotees, so they don't join the temple. And so they're not really so good, neither materially nor spiritually. And you have this young women who are very good spiritually, they take initiation, everything, and they're also very good materially. They earn a lot of money. But because the brahmacharis don't want to get married, at least for some time, many brahmachari marry when they are 35, 40, and then they have this men available who are not really very good spiritually or materially because they're not good enough to join the temple, and because they are devotees, they're kind of lazy in material life. They don't work so hard because they're devotees, chant Hare Krishna, okay, do a kirtan, like that. So you have this very qualified women who have kind of quite unqualified men if they want to stay in the devotional atmosphere. Have you noticed this? Did this happen in Delhi? How many of you noticed this? Nobody noticed that, or something doesn't exist in Delhi, maybe. I don't know. Okay, maybe I'm talking about things that you have not observed or you never thought of it. But it's an issue. It's definitely an issue. Okay, let's continue on the Bhagavatam. So we have today and tomorrow to finish the first 3 chapters. The first chapter takes more time. There are more themes. So, but basically back to this fortress, let's remember men needs protect wife, but or women in general, but also women protect men, because without a woman, unless somebody is a good renouncement, it will become weird. Okay, so the fortress 19, text 19. Lord Brahma says something interesting. Say, accept material enjoyment because the Lord extraordinarily has ordered you to do this. So generally, the Lord will leave some renounced person, some brahmachari alone. Yeah, okay, you want to. But in this case, it's a special situation. So the Lord will say, no, you got to get married. You have to have all the opulence of a king and all that. And also he says, look, it's not just the fortress of family life. You need to be the lotus feet of the Lord. And there is this image, a bumblebee enters the opening of a lotus flower and drinks the honey, and is fully protected by the petals of the lotus. So you see this poetic image. The bumblebee enters the lotus, is protected by the petals, nobody can see, and drinks his honey. Similarly, one should be like that, protected by the lotus feet. If one is protected by taste, see, taste is a great protection, because there are so many temptation external with the senses, or internal, our ego, our arrogance, our prestige, our thirst for power, micromanagement, whatever. There are so many temptations. So taste is what protects us. If we have taste for the lotus feet of Krishna, that means also Krishna Katha and devotional service, dedication to Guru. That's a big protection, because we are absorbed, we are happy. And if we are happy, then we don't look for position, we are not looking for influence, we are not looking for honor. If you're happy, you're happy. There is also an important point. Srila Prabhupada writes, material enjoyment achieved by dint of one's fruitive activities differs from material enjoyment given by the Supreme Personality of God. In other words, one is just karma. Okay, you've done something, now you get the results. But sometimes Krishna arranges. So Srila Prabhupada continues, a devotee sometimes appears to be in a very opulent position, but he accepts that position to follow the orders of the Supreme Personality of God. And so we have devotees in our communities who are rich, maybe they're industrialists or something, but they accept, okay, they don't just give up everything. So they use their their position to to promote, to build temples. These temples, cannot just be built with 10 rupees donations. Some people need to give some crores of rupees. I know in Mumbai, for instance, there are certain disciples of Radhanath Maharaj who are very rich. And one of them, I know personally, he gave $30 million so far for different devotional service. So he sees that as this is my service, very dedicated, but this is my service. I make money and then I give. But he makes a lot of money. So their service has meaning, obviously. And we need to also understand that there is difference between material enjoyment and sinful activities. It's not that material enjoyment is necessarily sinful. One can say eat good food, or have a good vehicle, good car, have a good house, and even enjoy maybe the walk in nature or things like that. That's not sinful. That's not sinful, and can be the right person can be very helpful to remember the Lord, to be grateful to the Lord. So when you say dharma, artha, kama, moksha, that kama, it's kind of civilized kama, meaning it's not just sinful activities and wild actions, just slavery of the senses. No, it can be very subtle. Means you hear good music, you eat good food, healthy food, you exercise, you have time for friendship, you have time for developing cultural thing. So sometimes devotees become a little bit, what do you call, allergic to enjoyment. But not all enjoyments is bad. We need enjoyment, some degree of enjoyment. It should not be sinful. It should be spiritualized, like Leela Priya. She's doing some chapatis, I think. So she will offer them, and then the husband. Are you married?
Hi, Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, I'm married and I'm making chapatis to offer
Yes.
along.
So then it will be offered, and then the husband will eat and enjoy the chapatis. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's not that we are against enjoyment, we are against sinful life. The mind needs some enjoyment just for peace, you know. Okay, so who's in the back? Priya Mataji, who is that? That's your husband.
He's working here, Prabhuji.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just saw somebody. Fine. Okay, so back to the Bhagavatam. Then text 20, Priyavrata accepts Brahma order. And 21 says, Priyavrata Narada also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. So it's beautiful because it's not that Narada feels defeated. Narada had a plan for Priyavrata, and that didn't happen. But it was Brahma who came and convinced. Oh, Narada Muni said, okay, yeah, that's, okay, God wants this. This is the will of God, the will of Krishna. Hare Krishna. So there is no resentment. It was not like, oh, he defeated me. I need to cultivate revenge. I'll get back to him. I'll get back to Swayambhuva Manu. No, it is nothing like that. They were both trying. See, this sometime happens even in our society. There are two devotees who have different ideas of what's best. They have different ideas for the temple, for the community, whatever. And they're both sincere, like here, Swayambhuva Manu and Narada. They're both sincere, obviously sincere. They're Mahajans. And somehow they have different plans for this Priyavrata. But then Brahma comes, and then both. Swayambhuva Manu is very happy. Now we can see now that he goes to the forest, Haribol finishes his quote-unquote material life. And Narada is also happy. He said, okay, did this duty, but Brahma is a higher authority, and so everybody's happy, basically. So now there is a point here in 22, Srila Prabhupada says that, see, in Bhagavad Gita, you see the Manu, Vaivashvata Manu, our Manu, is the son of the sun god. That's why it's called Vaivashvata. Vivashvan, Vaivashvata. And his son, the son of the Manu, Maharaj Ikshvaku, he was the king of the earth, the whole earth. But Swayambhuva Manu appears to be in charge of the entire universe. And he entrusted to his son, Maharaj Priyavrata, the responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planetary systems. So here, the story becomes a little bit difficult. Sorry. Difficult in what sense? Because we are dealing with a scale that it's beyond our perception. Now, we see, for instance, nowadays, or even the last few hundred years, Okay, there are different countries, there are different kings, there are different presidents, and we understand there is certain jurisdiction. But here, Priyavrata is like in charge of the whole universe, or at least some major aspect of the universe. He may not be in charge of Brahmaloka and all that, but it's therefore Srila Prabhupada say, it is therefore difficult to understand where Maharaj Priyavrata was situated. But from this literature, his position certainly appears greater than that of Vaibhava Manu, for he was entrusted with all the planetary systems of the entire universe. So this canto, especially later, there will be many descriptions, and sometimes it may not be absolutely clear because some realms are not realms of our experience, or we don't have access to those realms. So Srila Prabhupada says it's not clear where Priyavrata was, that he could rule the universe. Because Bhagavad here didn't give, okay, he was meditating Gandhamadana, which is Jambudvipa, but even Gandhamadana, Jambudvipa, now we don't have access to the Gandhamadana. So it was kind of, I mean, it was human, but was not like a human being like nowadays. So then text 22 also explain how Swayambhuva Manu was very happy to get rid of management. Was very happy. Okay, I've done my rule. He had to supervise. First his son, Uttanapada, became king, and then Dhruva became king, and then all these kings came. Swayambhuva Manu himself had to intervene when Dhruva was killing all the yakshas up there, somewhere in the Himalayas. Then, so he had to do all these things. He had to oversee, and now he had to oversee. Okay, after the Prashetas, there's nobody. Priyavrata has to be, and so then he goes away, very happy, very relieved. He completed. It brings to a closure. So everybody was happy. Then, okay, now Priyavrata is in charge. And the verse 23 explained that he fully engaged in worldly affairs, yet he always thought of the lotus feet of the Lord. And he ruled the material world just to honor the orders of his superiors. So that's, Bhagavad Gita explained, that's Sattva Guna, when one does something out of duty. He wasn't trying to squeeze some enjoyment, squeeze some ego gratification. I'm the boss, I'm the greatest, I'm the most powerful. No, he had to, out of duty, he does these things for some time. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example of Arjuna. Arjuna did not want to fight. We know the Bhagavad Gita. He did not want to fight, but because he was ordered, then he accepted, and he did for duty, he did very nicely, like that. Any questions so far from anybody? Okay, so let's continue. So as usual, we'll take a break around 11:30. Okay, so what happens? Then Priyavrata marries Bahishmati. She is the daughter of Vishwakarma, famous Vishwakarma. In India, every year there is one Vishwakarma Puja, right? So his daughter, Bahishmati. So he got 10 sons and one daughter. And the text explained they were all equal to him: beauty, character, magnanimity, other qualities. And then the daughter, the youngest, Ujjaswati. And then Srila Prabhupada gives, which he doesn't do very often, but he gives some autobiographical sharing. I read from the purport. Sometimes we are criticized because although I'm a sannyasi, I've taken part in the marriage ceremonies of my disciple. It must be explained, however, that since we have started a Krishna conscious society, and since a human society must also have ideal marriages, to correctly establish an ideal society, we must take part in marrying some of its members. Although we have taken to the path of renunciation, this may be astonishing to persons who are not very interested in establishing Daiva Varnashram, the transcendental system of 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, however, wanted to reestablish Daiva Varnashram. So this Srila Prabhupada brings up several times, and apparently was very, he was unhappy that people criticized him. So he was in America, nobody knew anything about ceremony or anything. So he started doing this yagya, the Vivaha yagya. And they didn't know anything. He asked for butter, for clarified butter. On one wedding, they brought in margarine, which doesn't burn very well, And some of the first wedding, he had, instead of normal wood, he had this wood of these crates, the crates of fruit. You buy orange crate, and that the wood, really like the worst wood. So, and with that wood, the margarine, he was trying to do the fire, and the fire didn't start. So he said, this marriage will have a slow start. And then the bride started crying. Anyway, it was a situation that nobody knew what was going on, and he was the only one who could do it. So he started doing it. Then later on, of course, he stopped. But people criticize him. Oh, you're a sannyasi, how can you do that? But no, you have to do the needful. You have to help these boys and girls have a civilized life. And yeah, in the normal circumstances, sannyasi should perform a yagya, vivaha yagya, but need be. Interesting, this passage is only, see, Daiva Varnashram. Varnashram is mentioned thousands of times, but Daiva Varnashram is only mentioned 4 times in the books. My understanding is that Daiva Varnashram is the same thing. Only that there is also Asura Varnashram. So to specifically distinguish Varnashram, Vedic Varnashram, spiritual Varnashram, from Asura Varnashram, or the caste system, sometimes you say Daiva Varnashram. But Srila Prabhupada didn't use much this expression. You find it only 4 times in all the books. Because Varnashram means Daiva Varnashram, means comes from God, and it goes to God. But sometimes to clarify, okay, Daiva Varnashram. Okay, so then you can read the names of the 10 sons in, let's read it together in text 25. Okay, Agnidra, and this next chapter will be about him. Idmat Jiva, Yagya Bhahu, Mahavira, Iranyareta, Gritas Prishta, Savana, Medatiti, Vitiotra, and Kavi. These are also names of Agni, the fire god. So he gave this, he has these 10 children. And 3 of them, Kavi, Mahavir, and Savana, they live like complete brahmacharis. So then these 3, they were, you say, like Paramahansa ashram. They were really good. Srila Prabhupada explains that those who were so strict brahmachari, strict meaning very rigorous nature of brahmachari, they will save the semen It's called Urdhva Reta. The semen will go up to the brain, so the brain will be very, very powerful, focused, receptive. And Srila Prabhupada writes, one who can completely control sex life is able to work wonderfully with his brain, especially in remembering. Thus, students who simply hear Vedic instructions once from their teacher could remember them verbatim without needing to read books, which therefore did not exist in former times. So the modern theory is that script writing came later in the path of human civilization, because people before, they were not very elevated, did not know how to write. Like, I give an example. When the Europeans went to conquer North America, there were so many tribes, so many nations of the called the original North Americans, we could say, but none of them had writings, none of them had documents or anything. So that aspect of civilization that did not develop. So somehow people think that, okay, writing comes later because people before were very primitive, but it's actually, in the Vedic context, is the opposite. People did not have books because they did not need books. They would just learn. Their brain is so fantastic that they listen to the mantras, they listen to the teachings, and they remember. It's like a recorder, or you got the digital recorder in your phone. The brain is like that. You just once, just like if you have a digital recorder, one time is enough. You hear a sound, that sound stays. So similarly, the brain of these brahmacharis, I mean, we are talking here, this is Swambhuva Manu, we are talking about 6 Manvantaras ago. Anyway, the brain was so that you hear the mantra, you hear mantras, the Vedas or the teaching, hey, that's for life. And they could repeat. There are techniques, there are actually special techniques also to repeat, to learn, and to repeat the same thing, different meters, different swaras, different things. So anyway, it was a completely different civilization. When they become less good, then they needed to write books. So the discovery, we could say, or the usage of writing, it's an expression of degradation, not an expression of development. But unfortunately, modern people, they think the other way around. They think, oh, they did not have books because they were primitive. No, they didn't have books because they didn't need books. You hear once, something is there. So then, text 27, Srila Prabhupada explains that these 3 sons, Kavi, Mahavir, and Savana, they were Paramahamsa from the beginning, but generally, even a sannyasi has got 3 stages, 4 stages: Kutichak, Baudak, Parivrajak, and Paramahamsa, or Niskriya. Sometimes they have different names. So probably you're familiar with this, but let's revise them. Kutichak. Kutichak literally means the man takes sannyasi but remains in the village, remains, say, at the border of the village, in a kutir, kutichak. So he's there, he has been a vanaprastha like that, but now he takes sannyas. And he's a sannyasi, but he lives in the village, the family arranged for the food, and he's preparing, studying Shastra. Maybe he has been to Gurukul, but that was 50 years ago, right? So he rediscovers the scriptures, or more, goes deeper like that. He starts he doesn't see the wife anymore, but for the house, they bring food once, twice a day, like that. So Kutichak. Then Bahudak. Bahudak literally means many waters. And generally has got two translations. One is that he moves literally to many waters, to little different rivers, holy places on the river, like Vrindavan is on the river, Mayapur is on the river. There are many holy places in India who are on the river, or they have large body of waters. Like if you go to Tirupati, there is this large tank, large tank. So everywhere. Or also means Baudak means taking a little bit from many people. It's not depending anymore on the family, but it depends on many people. So it goes, it's more detached now. It has to be more detached, more depending. Cannot just, oh, now my son will bring lunch. No, it goes, bags, little bit. Then Parivrajak or Parivrajak he start traveling and preaching. Now he can teach Parivrajaka. Parivrajaka goes around, and Parivrajak Acharya means he's a teacher now. So he may go to different families. He teaches like that. He does this. Maybe he stops in some Gurukula or stops in some other universities, some ashram. But he moves around. He basically moves around. Like almost all our sannyasis, they mostly move around. And then Paramahamsa. Now Paramahamsa, Supreme Swan. Or Niskriya, doesn't do even any more, no, yagyas and things, because it moved beyond that. Like that. So there are 4 stages. Not all sannyasis are the same. Again, Vedic culture is very, very realistic. Generally, people don't become Paramahamsa overnight. But these 3 sons, somehow, they were always Paramahamsa. So I remind you, you can always ask questions if you want, or make some comments that you find could be enriching also to others. Share some experience, observation, something you heard from our many teachers in ISKCON. Feel free to raise your hand and say, yeah, this made me think of this or that. Okay, so then Maharaj Prabhupada also had another wife. Somehow doesn't give the name here. And although she's special because she has 3 sons, Uttama, Tamasa, and Raivata, and all of them became Manus, which is a big position. There are only 14 in the day of Brahma. And Srila Prabhupada say almost all the Manus selected to rule the Manvantaras came from the family of Maharaj Priyavata. So you could see how Maharaj Priyavata, okay, he gave up that brahmachari was doing, but there is some real result. 3 sons were Paramahamsas. Others, they'll become king, like we'll see Agnidra will become the king of Jambudvipa and so on. So, and 3, they became Manus. So imagine, just like Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if I could have Krishna conscious sons, I will make hundreds of sons. It's some valuable service to society here, to the whole universe. When you bring a son or a daughter, that they'll be influential. They'll do something very important for society. So it's a service. You also get the credit. That's why it's so important to focus, even for selfish reasons. So important to focus on your children. Make them Krishna conscious, because then they can do things that maybe you're not able to do for different reasons, that they will be able to do things. So you get the credit also. You're the father, you're the mother. Okay, now a bit of a shocking information. The Prithu Maharaj ruled for 11 arbudas of years. Arbudas of years is 100 million years for 11. So 1 billion and 100 million years, which is very hard to understand. That's why Srila Prabhupada said, where was this Priyavrata? Because after every Manvantara, there is some flood, for instance. And Manvantara means 300 million years. Or Manu. Manu last 300 million years. Take or leave a few months, whatever. 300 million years. So he lived almost 4 times this. So he was there while different Manus changed, and he was still Priyavrat Maharaj. And so this is very kind of difficult to understand. I mean, okay, where was he? Where he was geographically, where he was. But okay, he lived so long, and of course, 3, 4 Manvantara, we are in the 7th Manvantara, so he already left this world like about 3 Manvantaras ago. It's already 900 million years ago. So, but this is the quote unquote prehistory. I mean, it's a history because it's recorded in the Bhagavata, but it's prehistory in the sense this recorded history of the modern world. That is, in which only they know maximum like 3,000 years before. We are talking about 900 million years. 900 million years when he left this world. So before he was there for more than 1 billion years. Okay. And he said that adharmic people were very fearful of him. And he had a very nice connection with the wife. So Srila Prabhupada here explained, like before we were saying, women depend on men, but men also depend on women. So I read from Srila Prabhupada. To maintain such a life of strict vigilance, in other words, he was the king, he was seeing that everything would go right. One needs encouragement from his wife. In the Varnashram Dharma system, certain classes such as the Brahmanas and Sannyasis do not need encouragement from the opposite sex. Kshatriyas and Grihasthas, however, actually need the encouragement of their wives in order to execute their duty. Indeed, the Grihastha or Kshatriya cannot properly execute his responsibility without the association of his wife. So we need to understand very clearly, otherwise we may become, unbalanced. We just think, no, these men are very merciful, so they see these women, yeah, we need to give shelter, need protection. But it's not just like that. They need women also for their own growth. We need women also for their growth, for our growth, our stability, our mental sanity. So generally, stay with a woman is very good for the man, health-wise, psychological-wise, morally-wise. Okay, this is my wife, this is my children, I stick here. Otherwise, the man becomes very often like monkeys. Like monkeys, no responsibility. You jump from one branch to another, you jump from a female to another, unwanted pregnancies, broken hearts, all, no, and then at the end you go to hell. But Grihastha and Kshatriyas need the encouragement of their wives. Otherwise, they cannot properly execute their responsibility. You may say that Srila Prabhupada was a feminist, but that's what he wrote. Well, I don't know. No, I don't know. So Srila Prabhupada, we need to take the full Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, yes, sometimes he says something, women should be protected. Okay, yes, but women also protect men. And men cannot function without wives. my wife grounds the man. Anyway, it's pretty clear. So please take notes. And wives, if you know that, I mean, you know that basically, you know that without your advice, your men will do so many things which they should not do. Jagamata Sachi laughs because she knows it's true. Hey, okay, 11:30. You want to take a break? 10 minutes? Okay, we go. So please come back by 11:41. Oh, ginger. Oh. Oh. Okay, so let's continue. Now starts to see, okay, we understand he was already great. He was a disciple of Narada Muni, and he accepted Brahma's order, which he saw as God's order. So he was already great devotee. Now we also see some extraordinary things that he will do. Especially two things: creating an artificial sun and creating oceans, concentric oceans in Bhumandala. So, verse 30 says, King Priyavrata once became dissatisfied with the circumambulation of the most powerful sun god. He followed the orbit of the sun god on a brilliant chariot and thus fulfilled his desire. Okay, so what happened is that the sun goes around, right? And goes around, from our perspective, goes around meaning goes from east to west and then back again. That's our perception. Now, from the point of view of Bhumandala, which has been identified with the plane of elliptic, means the orbit of the sun. So there's Bhumandala, and the sun goes around Bhumandala like in a horizontal way, right? Is the plane of Bhumandala, and the sun goes around. Now, in the middle of Bhumandala, there is Jambudvipa, in which one part is Bharatavarsha, and there is the Mount Meru. So when the sun is one side of Mount Meru, the other side does not get much light. So Priyavrata didn't like that, so he created some contraption, we could say some brilliant card will do the function of the sun. So when the sun was one side of Meru mountain, his sun, the sun, S-U-N, created by Priyavrata, will be on the other side. So there will be basically a constant source of light. Again, it's hard to understand. I mean, we are okay more or less with sun and night, right? That means with day or night. We are okay, we are accustomed. But somehow, from whatever perspective Priyavrata was talking, universally, whatever, he felt there was not enough light. And so he created an artificial sun. Srila Prabhupada explains that he was not really trying to compete with the sun god. He explains, although Maharaj Priyavrata devised a very powerful chariot as brilliant as the sun, he had no desire to compete with the sun god. For Vaishnava never wants to supersede another Vaishnava. His purpose was to give abundant benefits in material existence. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks that in the months of April and May, the rays of Maharaj Priyavrata's brilliant sun were as pleasing as the rays of the moon. And in October and November, both morning and evening, that sun provided more warmth than the sunshine. Okay, so this is one extraordinary thing, creating an artificial sun. Not only that, but next verse, 31, says, when Priyavrata drove his chariot behind the sun, the rims of his chariot wheels created impressions that later became 7 oceans, dividing the planetary systems known as Bhumandala into 7 islands. Okay, so now the fifth canto later, the same canto later will give much more details. Here there are only a few verses. There are only 3 verses that talks about this. So how Priyavrata created the space sorry, for these oceans. And you will study later in this canto more details, also what's beyond Bhumandala, the Loka mountains, the place where the sunrise arise, where there is no sun, and so on and so forth. But now let's take a quick look at Bhumandala, and I want to share something. No, where I kept it. Oh, no. Sometimes I have so many pages open. Oh, okay. So let me share screen. Now, this is the cover of a Back to Godhead magazine. This is from 23 years ago. And the highlight was an article by Sadhaputa Prabhu. Some of you heard about Sadhaputa Prabhu. Of course, he left this world, I don't know, 10 years ago or more, unfortunately. He was one of the founding members of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Srila Prabhupada Institute for Science. And frankly, I consider him a great genius. He had an extraordinary intelligence, and he was very, very humble. He was like a perfect Vaishnava. So it's a great loss to the movement. And he wrote different books. Some of you might have read some of his books, mechanistic, non-mechanistic science. One is Maya, explaining how this world is like a virtual reality. Then he wrote another couple of books, many books, anyway, books, videos. Now, why I chose this particular Back to Godhead, because, see the title, The Universe of the Vedas, 4 consistent models embedded in Vedic cosmology. He explains this Bhumandala. Bhumandala, again, as I said, is the plane of the elliptic. It's like the orbit of the sun. And keep in mind that the whole solar system, more or less, the planets revolve around the sun in almost an horizontal way. They just basically on the same plane. So he gives 4 different readings of this Bhumandala, and these articles, which you can read, explain this. One is anyway, let me go one after another. So, see, the universe of the Vedas. This is an article in BTG, but it's extracted from his book. This view, what you see here is Jambudvipa, the central island with the first ocean, and this conical form is the Mount Meru, which is called Mount Meru, but it doesn't look like a mountain. It's more like a big conical thing in the middle of Jambudvipa, which is in the middle of Bhumandala. Okay, let's see another picture. Yeah, this is again, Jambudvipa, the yellow part, which is divided into 9 different varshas or sections. One varsha is Bharatvarsha, which is like for human beings. The other 8 are considered heavenly sections. And we will see how the next chapter will see how Agnidra divides and he gives to the different children. On top of Mount Meru, you could see a little bit, there are the cities of the main demigods, like Brahma, Indra, and so on. Oops, sorry. So basically, Sadaputa Prabhu says, sometimes what happened, there are certain approaches giving one illustration that is kind of multidimensional. Like he gives on top here, you see, this is from a story, Christian story of Saint Peter. Saint Peter's in the same picture is there 3 times. One at the river, one with Jesus, and one doing something else. So similarly here, you can see Krishna's is Krishna's pastime. You may not see very nicely, but it's Krishna's pastimes, and there is Krishna with the cowboys, and then the Krishna becoming the cowboys, and then Brahman songs. Anyway, so he explained that sometimes you can give a description of different things, but in the same, we could say, scene or in the same narration. So similarly, he says, this description of Bhumandala can be taken in 4 different ways. So you see here this on the left top, the Brahmanda, the extension of the internal shell of the universe. Then you have Bhumandala in gray, and then Vipas and ocean at the very center. Now, in that center, which is also quite big, we'll see, that's where Priyavrata Maharaj created these islands. Now, figure 4, you see, this is from the center, you see Mount Meru, Jambudvipa, and then you see the different Dvipas. So, you say, one understanding could be that Shukadeva Goswami is giving a stereographic projection. In other words, there is an earth globe, but is given like a projection map of the earth. So a globe is described in a flat way. Just like if you see the flag of the UN, you know the flag of the UN, this light blue flag, and there is the whole world taken from the North Pole. So it's all around. It's a flat description of something which is globe. Then, so he says, in this way, Bhumandala can be taken as a map of the earth. Simultaneously, can also be a map of India and surrounding mountains like the Himalayas. Then, as a map of the solar system, you see here in figure 10. So you see this is like a lotus, but these are lines. Basically, if you put the Earth in the center, these will be the orbits of the planets around the Earth. I mean, some of you know more about astronomy, some of you know less, but it reflects very closely all the orbits of the planets till Saturn. So Mercury, Venus, then Jupiter, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So they fit. If you take the yojana in Sanskrit has meant different things. Some people say it's 4 miles, some people say 8 miles. He says if we take 8.5 miles, a yojana, this is a map. So it's a map. It's like a symbolic map of the elliptic and of the solar system. See that they match very, very closely. Otherwise, you can see here the Jambudvipa intended as the local map of South Central Asia with the various divisions of the mountains, Himalaya mountain, other mountain like Altai mountains, and so on and so forth. Okay, and the fourth reading is Bhumandala as a map of the celestial realm of the Devas. Because certain dimensions of Bhumandala, like Mount Meru and so on, they don't really match our experience. Here, for instance, from the fourth canto, he explains that the banyan tree of Shiva is as big as Europe. So there are certain dimensions. By dimension, I mean both in terms of distance, okay, how many miles and so on, and also dimension in the sense we have access to certain dimension, we don't have access to other dimension. Like, there is ultrasound, for instance, and there are whistles just for dogs. The dogs, when you blow this whistle, the dogs hear, because the ear of the dog is constructed in a way that can hear a higher range of sounds. But for humans, that's complete silent. Some of you may know these things. No. So there are certain things that human eye, for instance, sees. Some as ultraviolet, some are infrared. So similarly, there are certain aspects of the universe to which we have access. Okay, like for instance, you go outside Delhi and you see the Himalayas. You see these Himalayas, but the Himalayas described, they're much, much, much higher. They're kind of like once or twice the diameter of the Earth. You see the Himalaya maximum is 4.5 kilometers, right? The Mount Everest, no, it's 8 kilometers, 8 something. So it's 8 kilometers, but here they say it's like 80,000 miles or something like that. So Sadaputta Prabhu explains very nicely how this thing cannot be the result of just primitive people who don't know anything. It's a very, very sophisticated science, and there are so many correspondences which are masterfully summarized in a description, which for us may be very hard to understand, but it's consistent. For instance, it says, the Bhumandala, the earth, the sun, circles Bhumandala horizontally. In other words, there is the flat of Bhumandala, the sun goes around the flat, right? Like this. Now, even any primitive person, even if you go in the, I don't know, Papua New Guinea, you see some Aborigine, they know that, okay, the sun doesn't go like this, it goes like this, right? So it's clear that it's a different description. It cannot just be a mistake, or it cannot just be, or Himalayas. I mean, people have been moving around India, climbing mountains. They know it's not 80,000 miles. But so, in other words, explain there must be some different explanation, different perception, different levels of access, and different dimensions, basically. So, okay, this is just a magazine article. I can send it to you if you like. I put it here in the Zoom. I can put there in the chat the link. I can give you an. Now, we won't get much into this because it's not really our curriculum. It's more of later on. I don't know who's going to teach you. I hope somebody expert in these things, so you can learn a lot. This is the same article as text. I put this here. But two books which I advise if you want to get into this. This is the cosmology. I put it from Amazon, the cosmology of the Bhagavata Purana. There's an Indian edition. The American edition costs much more, but you can get it for 545 rupees. And this is especially talking about Bhumandala and how these four different possible explanation or possible mapping, possible interpretation of Bhumandala. And there is other one. This is a book I personally love very much. Vedic Cosmography and Astronomy. And this is written for devotees, because some of these books are written for scientists, but this is written for devotees. So he explains, Srila Prabhupada, have we been to the moon? We have not been to the moon. He explains how in many, many cultures, there this idea of this Bhumandala type of thing, like a flat earth. And some people, but the explanation was lost. So sometimes people just think, oh, the world is flat, but that's not the meaning of this. So you can have these things. This book, you can also find it for free, if you like, free stuff, in the Internet Archives. Okay. This is a free book in the Internet Archives, if you are interested here. I put the link here. Okay, Haribo. There is another book here. I didn't read this book, so I don't know. This is from Pavaneshwar Prabhu, and on the Bhagavata cosmology. So I didn't read it. I don't know how good it is, but I have no reason to conclude that it's not good. It's called it's Bhagavata cosmology, Vedic alternative modern cosmology. It's published by the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapith Research Center. I give you also this link, do whatever you want. So maybe our Rukmini Arisevini can capture these links and share also to the devotees who wisely avoided attending today, because there are more important things to do. Okay. That's different stuff. Okay. Okay. Any questions on Bhumandala or this type of things?
혈압이 높은 이유는 무엇일까요?
What
바로
is
혈관이
this?
좁기 때문이죠. 더 정확히 말하자면 혈전이 혈관을 막고
What is this?
혈관이 수축된 상태라는 겁니다. 그럼 해답은 간단합니다. 혈전을 제거하고
Sorry, that was a Korean video somebody sent me. Just started by itself. Okay, any question? I'm going to send you another link. This is a link in which you find a bunch of videos. This is from the TOVP website. Some of you know this TOVP website. And there are many videos by different authors. And again, because we are just sticking to Maharaj Priyavrata now, a little bit with Maharaj Agnidra, but we don't get much into details. So we're not going to be, but maybe if you want to read this, see some of these things before the later chapters. Okay, here. TOVP.org, Media Gallery, Vedic Cosmology video. There are dozens of video on different aspects. Some, they speak about the same thing. The TOVP video, the TOVP sites clearly says, look, we don't necessarily agree on everything everybody says here. Like there is a devotee that he concludes, okay, the earth is flat. The earth of our experience obviously is not flat. But there are many devotees who are into the flat earth idea. So there's a lot of variety out there. Okay, you see these links in the chat? Okay, very good. Okay, so let's go back to the Bhagavatam. So what happened here? Text 32. The names of the islands, Jambu. Jambudvipa is the central one with the Meru Mount. The names of the islands are Jambu, Plaksha, Shalmali, Kusha, Krauncha, Shaka, and Pushkara. Each island is twice as large as the one preceding it. Pretty clear? Okay, there is a certain size of the ocean. Then there is the island, and each island is double than the one preceding it. Text 33, the 7 oceans respectively contain salt water, and this is like part of it is part of our experience. We don't see it going around Jambudvipa, but we know that our oceans are salty. Then sugarcane juice, liquor, clarified butter, milk, emulsified yogurt, and sweet drinking water. And each ocean is equal in breadth to the island it surrounds. So Maharaj Priyavrata gave sovereignty over these islands to his respective sons. Okay, so he had these sons, he had this 3 became sannyasi like that, then the other sons he gave the kingdom. Their kingdom are these concentric islands. Srila Prabhupada quotes Vira Raghavacharya, the Acharya of the Ramanujacharya, one of the standard commentaries of Bhagavatam. He says the first island is 100,000 yojana, and 1 yojana equals 8 miles. But as I mentioned, sometimes yojanas are being used different measurement. So like that. So Sariputta Prabhu used a yojana of 8.5 miles, and he concludes that it fits all the orbits till Saturn. Okay. Now, then, King Priyavrata then gave his daughter Urjaswati in marriage to Sukracharya, who begot in her a daughter named Devayani. So, Devayani, the daughter of Shukracharya, was the granddaughter of Priyavrata. And we'll see her in action later. Later there will be this whole discussion about King Yayati, then Devayani, Shukracharya. That will come later. But now is Shukracharya marries Urjaswati. So becomes like brother-in-law of King Priyavrata. Now, in text 35, Shukadeva Goswami says something interesting. He said, my dear king, don't be doubtful about the wonderful activities of Priyavrata. For a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is possible because the Lord is also known as Urukrama. Urukrama means something extraordinary. Krama means step or action. Urukrama means something, a great action. So Krishna is Urukrama, and the devotees can also be Urukrama. Like Srila Prabhupada, a 70-year-old, when people retire, he came all the way to America with no money. He wrote so many books. He opened so many temples. He shared so many devotees. He did so many Ratha Yatras. He started Gurukulas. He started farms. He started a scientific institute. There's so many things in 12 years, which is really amazing. But Krishna is amazing, and his devotees can also be amazing. So we can see that Priyavrata was successful in everything he was doing. Great family life, great children, and arranging the Bhumadara illumination and the oceans and everything. Then it is said, at one point his mind became restless and began to speak in a spirit of renunciation. at one point, okay, he did whatever he needed to do. He put the children in charge of these islands and all that. So then, okay, what to do now? He basically say, I have had enough. I have had enough. That's one part of the translation Srila Prabhupada gives. I have had enough. So in other words, please try to understand, his pleasure was not in this externally very extraordinary activities. He was a very dear, special devotee, pure devotee. So he was doing these things out of duty. See, sometimes great men in this world, great men, meaning, okay, leader of countries, they become very attached to their position because they don't have anything internally devotional. So their pleasure is to keep in charge. And sometimes you see some dictators, they're not even able to die. They remain in coma a long time. I don't know if you heard these people, but there was this dictator of Spain, Francisco Franco. And he remained in coma a long time because the soul is like attached. He doesn't want to leave the body because the body is controlling the whole country. Also Tito of former Yugoslavia, they remain in coma a long time. But we see Swayambhuva Manu immediately. Okay, he went to the forest, gone. Priyavrata, now I have enough. We'll see later also his grandson, Nabhi, and so on. You see, they are eager to get out of management somehow. Although this management is not even like the management of these politicians, because politicians have a lot of oppositions. Next year, this year, there will be Indian elections in the United States, elections, a number of places. So they're always in anxiety. Will I keep my position? They do whatever they can to keep the position as much as possible because that's the source of the pleasure. But for Priyavrata, it's different. It's enough. He did everything marvelously, basically without opposition. If there were some miscreants, he could just smash them, no problem. So he really didn't have any obstacle to his ruling or to his pleasure. But at one point, he said, enough, pass. So then he divided all, this is 38, he divided all his earthly possessions among his obedient sons. He gave up everything, including his wife, with whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification, and his great and opulent kingdom, and he completely renounced all attachments. So text 39 glorifies him, how he excavated 7 oceans, dissipated darkness. And text 40 introduces another function of his ruling, quote, to stop the quarreling among different peoples. Maharaj Priyavrata marked boundaries at rivers and at the edge of mountains and forests so that no one would trespass upon another's property. So apparently, even then, the people would fight with each other based, I don't know, they have different priorities, different. So he just created, okay, this river, these people on this side, these people, the other side, the other people. This mountain, this side, these people, the other side, this other people. Now, we don't know the details, at least the Bhagavatam doesn't give the detail, what kind of population, but basically there was some conflict. I don't know, territorial conflict or whatever conflict was there. So he mitigated that, he solved that. Srila Prabhupada says, the modern idea of nationhood has gradually developed from the divisions made by Maharaj Priyavrata. Okay. And the last verse of the chapter says, Maharaj Priyavrata considered hellish the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power. Now, this may be, again, this is the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam gives this description of great devotees, and for them is hellish even these great opulences and powers. by fruitive activity, by mystic powers, but he felt it's just a burden. It's just like imagine, I give you an example. Say you're in the temple and there is a temple darshan going on and there's a huge kirtan, devotees are dancing, and they give you a nice room with beautiful sofa and beautiful pillows and soft music and perfect opulent silk covers. You feel, come on, I want to go in the temple and join the kirtan, right? You probably feel, what am I doing in this room with those beautiful furniture, ivory, wood, mahogany, and everything? I want to go in the temple and join the kirtan. What do I do with these sofas? So, I mean, this is just an analogy to give an idea that for him, all these powers and things was just, I don't need this thing. I want to go meditate on Krishna, exclusively Krishna. I don't need any of this. I don't need this power. I don't need any of this stuff. So it's a good example for us. Okay, so this is the last verse of this chapter. Any question? Any doubt? Any comment? Anything that came to your head, to your mind? Oh, I was thinking this, oh, I was thinking that. Please share. Don't let me just talk for 3 hours straight. Jagadmata Sachi, Leela Priya Shyam, Rukmini Hari Sevini, Dharuk Krishna, Prabhu Radha Kesha Prabhu, Gita Krishna Prabhu, Giriraj Prabhu, Kishori Chitra Mataji, Manohar Dvija Prabhu, Priya Satyabhama Mataji, Ananda Leela Mataji, Arvinda Charan Prabhu. Anybody wants to say anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was like really nice. Few things before coming to this, when we were talking about the girls and that they should get. I'm just telling what I used to understand. Now, what my understanding has changed. So it was like that. Still, there is something I would like to share. That Prabhupada has said that girls should marry. I have read somewhere that at the age of 16, then Prabhupada said that in India, it is like the age the government has decided is 18. So the girl should marry at the age of 18. But now we see that as there was conversation was going on, and as Her Grace Jagat Mata Shachi Mata was saying, that so girl has to be self-sufficient. She has to study also. She has so many other things that for a male, they just have to do one thing. Of course, they should know only household work, but exactly this is the core responsibility. I'm just telling what in my mind and what I understand, that girls have so much responsibility, that the core responsibility is to take care of the family, to get married, to begin Krishna conscious child, and to begin to give them Krishna consciousness. But along with that, girls are not ready to get married, and even not parents are ready to get her daughter married at the age of 18, because at the age of 18, the girls is just 12 year, they just passed the higher secondary. What about the graduation, post graduation? So, and they become the self sufficient, and if they don't want to be dependent on anybody, so they have to go for the higher studies. So it will take another 5 years or 6 years. Then
So
after this,
what is your question?
so I'm just sharing my understanding. And this is like that in nowadays, we are not able to follow Srila Prabhupada. As you,
Okay,
so
okay,
20.
okay. You have more to say? No, please, I don't want to cut you off. I thought you completed the thought.
So just I was saying that, as you said, that yes, it's really important that to get married at the age of 16, because I have crossed that age. I'm more of the double of it. So I can say like that at the age of 16, that yes, one should get married. But
Okay, I'll comment on that. Okay. See, that comment comes, Srila Prabhupada says that in the first canto, chapter 17. Now, I'm not remember the verse 47. I don't know. We can easily find it. Srila Prabhupada said, he gives different ideas on how society can be restored to sanity and so on. He says, like, for instance, everybody should do Ekadasi. He says it will be very good for health, and it will also save a lot of grains. Like, for instance, there are certain agency of the UN, the United Nations, that study the reserve of food. So generally, this planet has got like 60 days of reserve of grains. In other words, you got 62 months of grains. So of course we produce more and more and more, but generally we have a reserve of 60 days. Sometimes this reserve goes down, it goes to 40, to whatever. So Srila Prabhupada says also will save a lot of grains. Not only is good for the citizens, imagine if the whole India does Ekadasi. It's very good for the citizens, health-wise. And it's also good for the economy. You save so many millions of tons of grains. You have 24 Ekadasi in a year, so 26 Ekadasi in a year. So that will almost double the reserves of grains for the whole planet. This is one example. Then he says, compulsory marriage for all girls at 16 and all boys at 24. So let's pause there. Now, he says compulsory marriage. First of all, of course, cannot be taken literally, because you cannot force, for instance, a boy he wants to remain brahmachari. You cannot just force, okay, now you're 24, you got to get married. So also, you cannot just force people. Some people don't have the karma. Huh? I married when I was 40. Now, it's considered traditionally, it's kind of bad karma. That you cannot marry when it's a time to get married, or you marry very late like that. So it's not just compulsory in a strictly legal sense. You cannot just take any girl. Oh, you're 16. Okay, you get married. Marry with who? You follow? It's not so literal. You cannot take it literally. Second, that book was written in 61, it's almost 60 years ago. The laws of the country changed. There is the 2006 Marriage Act in India that established minimum age 18 for girls and minimum age for boys 21. Now, when Srila Prabhupada wrote it, it was allowed. But obviously, we shouldn't read some of this, they remain always valid, philosophy, theology. But some social aspect that Srila Prabhupada may speak, this particular one, obviously is not saying that ISKCON should break the law and that all the girls should marry at 16. At the same time, in that same purport, he says co-education, it's not a problem, but the students should be married. In other words, he also said, okay, girls may marry at 16, but they can also continue studying. If you study the purport, that's very clear. So it was not just say, okay, 16, now it's finished, now you cannot learn anything. There are many intelligent women, they need to learn more than what you can learn at 16. And in fact, we can see very valuable professionals and this and that. Now, Srila Prabhupada mood is benevolent, is not tyrannical. He knows that the nature of a woman generally is they're more happy with a good husband, good children at home. That's the general mood. But it cannot be just forced on somebody. Maybe some people don't have that background, they don't have that education, they don't have the training, that the world pushes to so many priorities, so many values which are not in line maybe with traditional values. At the same time, we also see many professional women after some time, they just don't want to do professional life anymore. They want to focus on the family. So we are not in a traditional society. So we want traditional principles or eternal principle, permanent principles in this present society. And we have to see the best way. I came to some conclusions. Other people came to complete different solutions or ideas of solutions. Like some people say, no, girls should not study anything. They should become basically not learn anything. Should just cook and clean, and that's all. I don't believe in nowadays society that's the best protection for a girl. What if she ends up in a marriage which ends because the husband divorces her, or because the husband dies, or because so you make them completely dependent on somebody you don't even know. You don't even know who is this person, who is this family. You don't know the future. Anyway, that's a different issue. We discussed that before. So sometime it's like Srila Prabhupada say, at 50, one should take vanaprastha, right? He says so many things. Panchavurdvam vanam vrajit. Vrajit is imperative. But we could see many people at 50, they're still very much in the prime of their business life, earning money, even having children. So what to do? Or say it's ideally 75 wants to take sannyas, but many people 75, they're very sick, they're very tired, they don't know much. Anyway, they're not ready for being sannyas. They just stay in the house, retired there, sitting there. I'm saying, even devotees, I'm saying, they may not be ready for sannyas. Okay? So there is ideal, and there is real, and then there are special cases. Now, from what I understand, well, Krishna has a plan for everyone. It's not by chance that I married when I was 40 and not when I was, say, 24 or under 25. Maybe it's bad karma. Maybe there is some maybe it's good karma. I don't know. You know, every case is different. Every case is different. Maybe I had to marry my wife and I had to wait for her because she's younger than me. So I don't know. You know, whatever happened. I don't mind. Okay, I married at 40. I didn't marry at 25. Hare Krishna. I mean, I don't care. I don't feel bad. So you try to understand what's the plan of Krishna for you, and just follow the will of the Lord. And it's a fact that there are many ladies, many or a percentage of ladies in our movement who wants to get married, but they can't get married. There is no husband available. I was giving a seminar in here in Mayapur, the ILS, ISKCON Leadership Sangha. I was talking about this thing, Varnashram, the role of women, and somebody asked me, so what about marrying a husband who is not a devotee? And my answer was that, yeah, sometimes you got to consider that. Sometimes there are good men who may not be devotee. They may become devotee later, but maybe they are good men. They are good men. They are well, maybe vegetarian, or they're sattvic. And these women were in South America, so completely outside Indian environment. And I said, yeah, sometimes sometimes there are no men available. It's a fact. And you want to have a family, you want to have a companionship, you want to have children. And sometimes there are no men available. There are no brahmacharis available, or the ones that are available, they're really weird. So you can consider sometime. So Srila Prabhupada once said, I wish all my women disciples were married, and I wish all my male disciples not to get married. Which is a paradox. How you do that? How you it's a paradox. But we are living a paradox in one sense. Or at least, if now we are living in a paradox, we're living in a difficult situation. Sometimes our parents try to, especially in India, parents try to arrange marriages, but sometimes they get people who are not devotee, and you're a devotee, you want a devotee, you meaning in general, you want a devotee, and parents know they bring somebody, but you don't want to live with this person. And some women will not find a husband for whatever reason. Maybe in the previous life, they poisoned their husband, so in this life, they don't get another one. I'm not saying you poison your husband, and I wish you all the best and everything. I'm just saying, we don't know. We don't know. We are not just here, like you say, you're 32. Okay, we are not just individuals who have 32 years. We have past lives, and who knows? I know this is not, may not be the, what you call, and this is the nature of reality. Sometimes we don't like what we face. Sometimes we don't like our wife. Sometimes we don't like our husband. Sometimes we don't like our children. Advaita Charya is good, is good, is God, is Mahavishnu, is the father of everybody, right? the whole universe. But he has six children, and 3 are devotees and 3 are not devotees. And he's Mahavishnu. There might be brahmanas, but they were not devotees. They might have been kind of smarter brahmana or something. And so, even the avatars sometimes give us the Varahadev, one son of Varahadev was Narakasura, right? So this is the world. It's like that. And sometimes it's the opposite. Hiranyakashipu's son is Prahlad Maharaj. So try to do Varnashram. You want to move to whatever ashram you want to move, but try to do your best. And may happen, may not happen. I know some men, they wanted to take sannyas. For whatever reason, they want to take sannyas, but they stayed in the waiting list for a few years, then they were removed because it was felt, those who oversee this sannyas ashram, taking sannyas, they thought, no, they're not really qualified, they're not. So they were removed. So similarly, we may want to enter any ashram, but may not be able to. Or we may want to get out of ashram. We are not ready, and we are not able. So so it's not that, it's not that Srila Prabhupada say, okay, unless you marry when you're 16, you're not satisfying me. He doesn't say that. Those are like sociological considerations. He also said sometime, rarely, but he also said sometime, what's the use to get married? What protection this husband can give you? If you read that book I showed last time, which is in the list, how to mess up Varnashram, these quotes are all there. So you see, Srila Prabhupada, yes, generally said women should get married because he knows that psychology, they want to get married. It's not that, oh, I didn't want to get married, now Srila Prabhupada said to get married. It's not like that, you follow. Generally, women want to get married. So Srila Prabhupada say, yeah, they should get married, and they will be happy in life with children and home and this and that, good husband. Okay. Sometimes we don't have that karma to have a life We want like that. Vashira Prabhu also said that, women may not necessarily need to get married. Once he said, like they have these Christian nuns that they're not married, they have nunneries. So Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, we may have nunneries also. So he was trying to, certain things are clear principles. So, something is more, okay, we need to adjust with the situation we have. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke about a Vishnupriya Palli. He wanted to create a Mayapur, a place for ladies who somehow either didn't have husband or they couldn't really live with their husband because the husband was totally materialistic. So he wanted to do here in Mayapur a village for them. So they could live together, maybe produce something, I don't know, saris or food or papadam, something, produce, maintain themselves, but live in a cloistered, protected environment among themselves. So the acharyas deal with these situations. They know it's not perfect. For instance, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gave initiation also to women who were married to non-devotees. And he also gave initiation to unmarried women, and there was no certainty that they will marry a devotee. So you will recognize, okay, she's a devotee, I give initiation. She may marry a non-devotee, or maybe she's already married to a non-devotee, but she can autonomously practice Krishna consciousness. Generally in India, husband, even if they're not religious, they're not against the woman being religious, right? They let them do their puja and stuff, even if they don't care, They may not care, but okay, do your puja, do your thing, who cares? I mean, that's, I mean, it's not the idea, but,
Thank you so much.
And then there are some people are never happy. Meaning they have one husband or one wife, they divorce, another husband, another divorce, they re-divorce. Some people they're just restless, or just, I don't know, they look for something utopian, My wife is an astrologer, so she deals with a lot of these cases. Sometimes people are married, but they're not happy, and they say, "Oh, how can I find another husband? This, that. How can I find?" There's so much mental agony out there. Because in any case, it's not the husband or the wife who make you happy. Srila Prabhupada says, you can check Bhagavad Gita 18:5. It says the Vivaha Yagya is to regulate the mind, to make it peaceful. Peaceful doesn't mean that Grihastha life is peaceful. But it's peaceful in the sense, okay, this is my man, this is my woman. Finish. But in that sense, then there are many complications. You got to have a house, you got to have income, you got to have children. Children need to the dentist, then children need to study, and this and that and the other thing, and taxation and this and that. It's a huge but peaceful in the sense that okay, I need a companion. This is my wife. This is my husband. Full stop. But for this life, that's it. But many devotees, I'm talking devotees, initiated devotees, they can't manage that. Oh, my wife is there. Oh, my husband is there. Oh. It's a constant oh. Indian devotees a little less. Okay, should we go to the next chapter? We have 90 minutes. So between today and tomorrow, we'll finish this 2 chapter, okay? Chapter 2, the activities of Maharaj Agnidra. I don't know how many of you read already this, so you're familiar. How many of you listen this for the first time? How many of you are following with the book? I don't know. It seems that you are all very independent people. You don't even want to show your face to me. It's okay. What can I do? So I gave some snippets of truths and plus my comments. See if you find something useful. Okay, the activities of Maharaj Agnidra. Now, Agnidra was given Jambudvipa. Okay, this Jambudvipa is something, again, very difficult to understand. It's this island at the center, and part of it is Bharatvarsha. There are these mountains, very tall mountains, according to our, they're not just mountains, they are like, what do you call, mountain ranges that divide. Later on, the Bhagavatam will tell you how they are divided in different parts of Jambudvipa, different people worship different forms of the Lord, but that doesn't come now. So now Agnidra is in Jambudvipa, and he was like a father to his citizens. Srila Prabhupada say, today's president, or they just want to put taxes, they don't care whether religious principles are observed. With democracy, sometimes as soon as you put something, people revolt or they don't vote you anymore. Anyway, so Srila Prabhupada make a parallel. But for him, for Agnidra, it was like a father to his citizens. Srila Prabhupada said, indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activities, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. So Srila Prabhupada wrote this some more than 50 years, around 50 years ago. And obviously now is much, much more. Much more. Although 100 years, I'm reading, although 100 years ago, these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Because of the sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. So let me drink some water before rain becomes increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. These are heavy prophecies, but there are reactions. It's a fact, especially Indians, they have such a precious culture, and but you live in Delhi. Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world. It's just 100 kilometers from Vrindavan. You meaning Indians have access to the highest culture, but they're just basically following the West and just getting compact in a city which is almost unlivable. But this is just one manifestation, Before India, most people produce their own food. They don't have to work outside their own land. They produce their own food, something they barter, something they trade, something they exchange. Now people are hours every day in the traffic, spoil their health. They're always in anxiety because You can be kicked out of the job any moment. All industries are finishing overnight. Like Kodak. Kodak, you heard Kodak, right? The Kodak, the films. It was a huge industry, engaging tens of thousands of people, but then technology changed. Nobody now prints picture photos anymore. Now everybody, see, nobody even buys almost a photographic machine. Everybody has a phone. You have a video, you have what do you call a recorder, you have photographs. Nobody prints photos anymore. So the old Kodak went bankrupt. And I don't know how many people, 80,000 people just lost their jobs. So whatever industries now you can see when you go to YouTube, there is this publicity. Oh, you had to learn artificial intelligence because you lose your job. You see that? This advertisement pops up. You need to learn AI because you will lose the job. It's a fact. It's a fact. So anyway, Krishna will take care of his devotees. At the same time, devotees should also be doing some effort. Now, desiring, that text 2. So this Maharaj Agnida desired a perfect son. And they wanted to become an inhabitant of Pitriloka. And it's called Pitriloka Kama. He had this desire to be in Pitriloka. To be in Pitriloka, you got to have a son who keeps you there by doing this what do you call this, pindas and all that. Otherwise, you can't stay. In other words, it's like you become dependent on your family members when you're in Pitriloka. And if the tradition stops, then you lose. In fact, the Yamadutas, it's explained somewhere that the Yamadutas are people who are in Pitrilokas, but their families stop doing that. So they become horrible, they become angry, they're still somehow in the manager of the universe, they still serve Yamaraj, but they're like people who live, no, who serve, no, like people hang people, no, they're not, it's not very, what do you call those who kill people for the government? What do you call it? Not henchmen, what do you call hangmen, right?
Yes.
Hangmen. Like in Delhi, there were those people who got killed couple of years ago, you remember? Like that. So you are a hangman. It's not really very, very nice job. So these Yamadutas become, these Pitriloka people, if they are not kept there, they become the hangman or of Yamaraj. So this Agnidra worshiped Brahma and went to a valley in Mandara Hill where sometimes this Apsara went to stroll. So then he did very heavy austerities and worship. So Srila Prabhupada explained the inhabitants of Pitriloka are generally men of the karma kandiya or fruitive activities category, who have been transferred there because of their pious activities. They can stay there as long as their descendants offer them Vishnu Prasada. So, in one sense, just like I was saying, in Delhi, some of the jobs are very unsafe because you don't know. Company may just say, no, we have to cut 10,000 people, you go. You don't know. So similar in Pitriloka, it's a little different. It's all based on pious karma. But you're there, Pitriloka, if your descendants stop, you're gone. You can't do anything there. Somebody here have to do that. So it's a very unsafe situation, precarious situation. So we need to understand this. That's why Krishna Bhagavad Gita says, look, people, not so much intelligent people, they desire to go to Svargaloka because you can't stay there. You can't stay there. I remember Sridhar Maharaj, you remember Sridhar Maharaj, he left also some 10 years ago, but there was a sannyasi. He was from Canada, but he was always in India. And one time he told the family, they invited him for lunch and everything. It was very nice, pious family. And Maharaj blessed them. He said, "You're a very nice family, very nice devotees. I wish you can go to Vaikuntha." And then the father said, "No, no, Maharaj, we don't want to go to Vaikuntha. We want to go to Svargaloka." They just told him in the face, you know. So it means obviously they didn't understand the philosophy, because Vaikuntha is, first of all, much more pleasurable, the Svargaloka. Second, meaning there's much more happiness. And second, you can stay there forever. Yagadva nanivartante. In Svargaloka, you got to come back. Abrahama bhuvana loka punar abhartino Arjuna. So it's like he really didn't understand what's going on, you know. No, we want to go to Svargaloka. So here Srila Prabhupada said this Pitriloka, it's a higher planet, but these are karma kandiyas. They're pious. So that means they're clean, they follow the rules, they're very Vedic, they respect the Brahmanas, they may give donation, everything. But the karma is basically what we call karma kandiyas. They do karma kanda. They just want to, in other words, they're using the laws of God not to surrender to God, but okay, God gives me this option. Okay, I do this, I do that, I go there, I enjoy, but you cannot stay there. That's the problem. So then Srila Prabhupada raised the question, but Priyavrata was such an extraordinary devotee. How could he have a son like Agnidra? Let's repeat, he was very pious, very good ruler and everything. He was a good man, but he has the desires. How come? So then Srila Prabhupada writes, Goswami Giridhara, one of the Bhagavatam commentators, remarks that Agnidra was born when Maharaj Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. So Maharaj Priyavrata remained a great devotee, but there was some moment in which he was more a little bit affected by this position with the wife and all that. So at that time, he had this as a son, because children reflect the consciousness, or as parents, we attract children according to our consciousness. And so, let's say the Priyavrata, at that particular time, he may not have been in super high consciousness. Of course, the overall was a great personality and everything, but so when he produced Agnidra came very pious and everything, very Vedic, but also attached to become to Pitriloka. So he worshipped Brahma, again, in a very cultural way. He didn't do anything crazy. We're not talking about some crazy sinful atheist. No, we're talking about somebody extremely Vedic, extremely pious, but with some material desire. So he went to this place where the Apsaras were roaming around, but he didn't. Please try to understand. He didn't just go to an Apsara and say, "Hey, can we have dinner tonight?" He wasn't trying to date Apsara. He went there to do tapasya. So he went there to do tapasya and to worship Brahma. Because Brahma basically, it's his great-grandfather. Brahma, Swayambhuva Manu, Priyavrata, Agnidra. So Brahma is his grandfather, great-grandfather. So very pious, very nice in one way, very cultural, very good ruler, but he had these material desires. And so from tomorrow, we'll see that we'll see what happens. Some of you read this thing, but there is a very colorful description of what happens. Okay, any question? Any final question? We got 3-4 minutes. Anybody wants to explore anything? Anybody wants to go to Pitriloka? Please don't go to Pitriloka. What you go there for? Go to Krishna Loka. So any comment, any final thing from anybody? Yes, Jaganmata Sachi Mata.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question from the last chapter. Maharaj Priyavrata gave his daughter to Shukracharya, and Shukracharya is as I think is a as I know as we know is a guru of Rakshasas, not Devatas. So
Demons.
demons,
Yeah.
guru for demons. So why he gave his daughter to guru of demons, not somebody else?
Well, the Bhagavatam doesn't give much detail. Okay.
Yes.
Now you will see in this chapter, the Bhagavatam gives a lot of detail about Agnidra marrying Purvachi. From tomorrow we'll discuss. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometime the Bhagavatam gives a lot of details, how they got to know each other, why they got married. Like for instance, in fourth canto, you saw Daksha gave Sati to Shiva. And he explained that it was Brahma who told him. He didn't want, actually. So similarly, at every level, just like in Delhi, sometimes, okay, somebody has a daughter you want to give to a devotee, the father doesn't want to give, whatever. So there is always this, sometimes stories, drama, we could say. Now, why Shukracharya? I don't know. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. Maybe they were together the previous life, or maybe they fell in love. Plus, Shukracharya is also very cultured person. Anyway, Shukracharya, he may be the guru of the demons, but doesn't necessarily mean he's not a great Brahmana. In fact, he has great powers. He has this, what do you call Mrityu Sanjeevani, he can resurrect people, right? I mean, the Christian make such a big thing about resurrection of Jesus. Shukracharya, they will resurrect the whole army. Anyway, sorry, a little editorial. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't say. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It's bad. It's a Brahmana in the Vedic culture in the universe. Everybody kind of has the right to have a Brahmana as their guide. He may not be guru as we understand guru, but no, they need the guidance. They need to become successful. They need some guidance. So Shukracharya does that. Thank you. So we close here. I saw another hand, but we can do it tomorrow. Please hold your question because time is up. I don't want to go over. So we have 3 hours tomorrow. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant Saturday afternoon. See you tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Krishna willing. Haribol.